Hello and welcome to another Cannabonsai stream brought to you in part by Mars Hydro. I don't know why I said that. They're just sponsored. I guess I watch too much TV. Brought to you in part by blah blah blah. Anyways, I think they said that a lot in the 90s. Yeah, so it's sponsored by Mars Hydro. They make this all possible. They send me a bunch of equipment to use, which helps me grow the Cannabonsais, and they also help me out so I can take time off work. So thank you to them. I stream every week. I didn't last week, but that was like my first week not streaming. I've actually been really good about it since I started. But yeah, like it's been a little hectic in a good way, not a bad way. So don't worry. Um, but yeah, so here we are where I stream while I'm working on my auto flowering Cannabonsais. So all my bonsais are auto flowering. Which I think is important to note because a lot of people use photoperiod seeds when growing. I grow them all under 21 on, 23 off, 21 on, 3 off light cycle. And they get that light cycle pretty much their whole life, especially at the beginning. Towards the end, I'll bring them out, like for the last, I guess, month. I'll have them by my window or on my shelves, or I'll keep them out here under this light. But the first month, they spend in a grow tent. So right now I'm just defoliating, just kind of cutting off all the leaves that are old and drying. This plant is ready to be harvested. I looked at it under the microscope. What you're looking at the trichomes, and the trichomes are like these little things that stick up with like a ball on the top. And you want the trichomes to turn amber, like the little balls at the top to turn amber. Not all of them. Yeah, so last week I showed you guys how the moss is doing, and that's growing a whole bunch of extra vegetation, and it's looking really cool. So this one was like stretching up and was like getting tall and skinny, so I cut the top off the other at the last stream, and now that's kind of flowering again. And one of the branches here is stretched out, and it's got those little white flowers on the top. So I think that all looks really cool. So this one is done. Like, I did my best to try to keep it going for as long as I could, but it was just a really small amount of soil, and it was never super happy, as you can see. It never got very big. I mean, the buds have some good density to them. Well, not this little one, but these bigger ones do. But yeah, so one day I just came and you can just tell it starts like the main trunk just starts shriveling up. And yeah, that's what happens if you try to keep them alive for too long. And that's why I recommend harvesting them when they're ready to be harvested. So as you can see, the roots were in the rocks there. So let's see if I can pull them out. Yeah, you can see it had a lot of roots, and you'll get a better look at the pot. So as you can see, it's not very deep, and the roots would go in there, and they came out the bottom here. Definitely gonna reuse it. I was very happy with how it came out. But yeah, I'll have to wash it in the sink to get all those roots out. And then there's the moss. There's that mesh. Let the water could drain out. And did I get roots growing in here? I think I did have roots growing in here. There's this like separate part, and yeah, I did have a bit of roots in there. Yep, there we go. So yeah, the roots kind of went everywhere that they could, and that's why it managed to stretch out so much. I think I got really lucky on that one. I'm not expecting the next one that I grow on in this one to have as much stretch. But yeah, happy that I could show you guys the rock pot that I made. So this is essentially 2 rocks just contact cemented together. And I made a bit of a bowl. And then I had this rock with the holes, and I just found a nice spot for it. I thought this was glued. It might have been. Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, there's contact cement, so I might have to re-glue that. But it came loose at some point. But because the soil and the roots were all kind of holding it together, it never came apart fully until I just ripped it apart there. Yeah, so roots. That's where the bottom part. They were in these 2 holes, and they came out the bottom there. And what I do with some that's small, like it's not really worth keeping, I have a trim bin, and I just throw it in there with a whole bunch of other ones, and eventually I'll just crush it and make it into keef, and maybe roll it in hash, or I don't know, just smoke it. I have large plants. I have a 2x2 tent with a Mars Hydro FC3000, and I always have some big plants growing there, and those are the plants that I dry properly and cure, and those are my smoking plants. So here we have a root on rock one. I'm not gonna lie, this plant hasn't been too happy its whole life, but I think it's finally looking kind of good. It's gotten It's got a nice purple hue. And I'm just gonna cut off all the ugly leaves. Has a lot of them. And I think it'll look a lot better after that. Yeah, because it was unhappy, the buds haven't really thickened up very much. Like they're very like popcorn nugs on the top. Yeah, so I'm hoping it'll thicken up a bit more. Um, it seems to be doing a bit better now, but who knows? Let's go to the next one. Again, this one's already been shaped. This one's looking a lot healthier than the last one. So if you guys check out past streams, you'll see that I had this covered with mesh and I grew them upside down. So this one so they were grown like this. And then when the stretch was done, I wired them up and flipped them right side up. So this one has the same kind of purple-ish color that the other one did, because of the same strain, Sam's Smile by Grow Wildwood Seeds. And I have a couple more actually. I buy those from Grow Wildwood in bulk, and those are the ones that I had in the starter kit. So I have a lot of them, so I tend to grow that strain a lot. And it's a good strain for Cannabonsais. These Cannabonsais live for 3 months. The whole process from seed to when they die or when you harvest it takes 3 months. If you try to keep it alive longer, like I said, they just end up dying on their own, like this one. So this is like 4 months now, so I tried pushing it because it was really nice and I wanted to get as many pictures as possible, but... And some will be even quicker, so... And some will be a bit longer, it kind of depends on genetics, but roughly around 3 months. So I'm really happy with the flow of this one. It continues up here. Open this up a little more. Yeah, so I just wanted it to have a nicer curve and not have things sticking out. So I just adjust it with the wire. And yeah, so I'm trying to create flow. Thing is, it's like put it at a different angle. Actually, no, it's keeping its flow. And I think that's it for the defoliating. I don't need to do too much more. This one still has another month to go. So I'm hoping these buds fatten up a bit more. But I must say I'm very happy with how it's looking so far. Here's a more aggressive cascade. So I'm hoping the purples will purple a bit more. This one kind of opens up at the top. It's like a more of a Y shape. It's kind of like a dick. Sorry. Didn't mean for that. Okay. Yeah, so I just kind of want to fix this lineup and have them all line up as much as I can get them to. So this one's being grown on a quartz crystal. And as you can see, because it's the same strain, it also has that purplish color to it. And the same as the other ones, I'm just going to do a little bit of defoliating. So this one I shaped on stream. And if you want to see what I did, you can check it out there. Essentially, this one kind of mutated. So instead of having one top, it had two tops. So then I just stretched the two tops out horizontally with one wire and just, yeah, grew them out horizontally and then kind of just gave them a little twist. And I like how it's kind of a minimalist. Abstract, maybe? It's like just one line. Thanks for all the positive comments in the chat. I appreciate them. I do it early on, and I'll demonstrate it if you stick around. The process of transferring the roots over. So after I'm done defoliating, I'm gonna transfer these seedlings onto a rock. So if you stick around, you can see how I do that. And those seedlings are a week old, a week and a half old. Or like maybe not even just over a week old. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. This one's a little out of place. Do I want to wire it up? I mean, maybe later. So this one was grown. Normally I have my rocks standing up like I did in the treehouse, but I decided to lay this rock horizontally, and it's like looks kind of like a canoe. It has like a little bit of a dish thing going on here, and yeah, I put the roots in, and when I uncovered them, I realized that this had happened, and I think it looks really cool. It didn't grow very big, but I think it looks super cute still. The goal was to have a branch that grew horizontally and just have a couple of branches growing vertically off it, like traditional low stress training, but in like a mini version. And that's all this is. This is just LST that's been done for years. I'm not doing anything special. I never have claimed to do anything special. I'm just having fun with these auto-flowering plants. Yeah, this one's looking a little bushy, so I'm just gonna take some leaves off. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. I'm not going to do much work to this. So this one has, I like wrap the roots under and over and down. So these roots here aren't growing out from here. They're actually growing out from this side. So the roots went under the rock and then up, and then they went back down, and haven't revealed too much of those roots yet, but they're gonna be coming down and over the stem. So it's gonna, yeah, I think it's this part here is gonna look really cool eventually, because it's gonna have some thicker roots coming down under it. So I'm excited for that one. I'm slowly exposing the roots. So as you can see, they're getting thicker. The ones that are making contact with the soil on this side. It's flowered extremely early. So there's no shaping to be done. It's got really cool colors. This one is also Sam Smile by Grow Wildwood. And yeah, maybe I'll trim off some of the yellower leaves. Actually, they just kind of come off on their own. All my plants are autos. I have them in a grow tent with a 21 on, 3 hours off light cycle. And they have that their whole lives. I used to just do 24 hours for their whole lives, but I found there wasn't much difference between the 21 on and 3 off. So that's the light cycle I do. Okay. Shall we? So, in order to have these long roots, I start them in these containers. So I just have a regular seedling container, and I have an extension. They're old like syringes that I used to use to mix my newts with, repurposed for this. You can use any kind of tube, like PVC tubes will work fine. I've actually been meaning to do that because this is like not the most convenient system, to be honest. I kind of want to get just some PVC tubes. I'm going to put a base, drill some holes around. And yeah, I think that'll work a lot better. And this is part of the reason that it's inconvenient, is every time I'm gonna do it, I have to cut it away from the rest of them. What's the biggest bonsai I made? The biggest bonsai I made was like similar to this one in height, but it had a lot more growth and the colas got a lot bigger. And I ended up getting 21 grams from it. So that's the biggest Cannabonsai that I've grown. And what's the other question? Yeah, so what I do is I'll keep them for 2 months in my grow tent, and for the last month or 3 weeks, I have them around my house. So I'll have them on my table or on my window. At that point, I feel like they've already fattened up enough, and I have this light here for this shelf, so I can put them on these shelves or move them around the house, and I try to enjoy them as much as possible. Like, for example, the treehouse one has been on my coffee table. It's been a centerpiece for the last month. It was at a gallery. I had a show for 420 where I had a whole bunch of my plants on display. That was great. It went great, and I grew a lot of plants all on stream. So if you check out past streams, you'll see the whole process of how I got from seedling to here. And if you watch 3 months from now, you'll see what this one becomes. I do harvest them, because if I don't harvest them after, like earlier in the stream, I showed what happens if you don't harvest them. They just die on their own, and then they shrivel up. And I'm not growing these, like I'll smoke it, but I'm actually not smoking these. I just put them in my trim bin, and then I get the keef off them to make hash with. I have a tent where I grow large plants. So I grow plants that'll yield a quarter pound, and that's what I have for smoke. Those I dry properly, I cure properly, to go through the whole process of drying and curing this much weed is not really worth it. So these are grown for fun. These are like just they're just relaxing. It's a calming activity to do, and that's why I grow them. And also, I kind of build the whole side gig around them. I have a book, and I grow them so that I could promote the book on my various social medias and all that. So hold on one sec. I'm just gonna get some soil. I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. So I don't know. I was thinking of using this pot that I got at the Salvation Army. It wasn't really a show for that like for prizes. It was like a Cannabonsai specific showing. So my buddy has like a store where they sell a lot of cannabis related um, merchandise. Studio AOK. You can look them up on Instagram. And yeah, I've had a couple of shows there where I'll have like between 5 and 10 plants on display. So I guess this is what's happening. Oh, I need some mesh for the bottom. So there's this big hole here, and I'll lose a bunch of soil, and I'm gonna put these at the bottom so that the water can drain to the hole better, and I don't get water sitting around the outside where there are no holes. I just need to get some more. There we go. And then we'll get a bit of perlite. How do you get those roots to twist around like that without breaking them? A lot of LST. The roots, like I said, I'm gonna show you right now. I can't. The roots are kind of luck. So there's roots growing all the way down here, and then I put it on the rock, and then I cover it with soil, and it's you just kind of hope for the best, and sometimes you get really lucky. So there was like a crack going down here. So it was like these really thin roots that I put down that crack, and hoped that they took, and they took. Same on this side. So these were all really, really thin, and there was a lot more of them. It wasn't just these roots. So some of them didn't make it. Sometimes I've had only 2 roots make it, and it's all on one side, and it doesn't, there's no roots all around the rock, and it doesn't look as good. But like I said, it's hard to control that. So I use Fox Farm soil. You don't have to use a rock. I have these ones that don't have a rock. It's just the rock looks cool. This is like a very different type of growing. Like the rules of growing don't apply because you're not trying to grow a huge high yielding plant. You're trying to grow an aesthetically pleasing, pretty looking plant. And I'm probably gonna have to get more soil. Okay, question is, which rock do I use? So I have this rock that has some holes in it. I don't know if you can see them. And I could try running the roots through the rock, or I can use this one that has like a ledge on it. And last time what I had is I had the roots growing down and spilling on either side of this ledge. And I also had some growing down this way. Yeah, I think I'll just use this one. So the roots have reached the bottom. I'm just going to gently break the soil up. Try not to damage the roots, but you will break some roots, and that's okay. But you just do your best to not break any roots. And then I use some chopsticks to help me push it out. Might have packed the soil a little too hard. See, I lost some roots there. That's stuck to the tube. But I think for the most part, I think I did okay. Oh. I normally have a spray bottle, but I left it at the gallery. So I only have my spray bottle right now, or my squirt bottle, which is empty. So I'm just gonna go fill this up 1 second. I really should have gotten my spray bottle back before doing this, now that I think about it. Because I need the spray bottle so that the roots stick onto the rocks. Otherwise, you get a space, right? So if it's rock, soil, root, when you wash away the soil, there'll be a space between the root and the rock. So what I do is once I have the rock and like the dirty root on there, I get the spray bottle to wash away the soil, and then you have contact direct. So you see how there's all this soil here? If I had the spray bottle, I could wash that all away and have it make better contact. So these are roots. And yeah, so this root is gonna reach the soil here. You always want to have roots reaching the soil. That's why I start them in that container, so that I'm able to do that. And I have the same thing going on this side. roots are going to make contact here. I think I have to get a spray bottle. Give me one sec. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, this will be the final pot. Sometimes I start them on smaller ones, and that way I can make sure that it's not one that went into flowering early. And then I'll transfer it into a bigger pot. But you don't want to do it too late, because the whole point of putting it in a larger pot is to kind of hope that it stretches out a bit more with a bit of extra soil. And I'm just gonna let it dangle like that. Eventually the main trunk will thicken up and it'll start growing upwards, and then I'll decide whether what I want to do with it, what kind of LST I'm gonna do with it. So that's all there is to it. I have lots of examples of this saved in my videos from past streams, but also, like, I guess, higher quality video edits, like 10-minute edits from seed to like, full Cannabonsai. So you can check those out. I demonstrate as many techniques as I can in all of those. Okay, that's that. So yeah, so now this will go in the grow tent. And next week we'll see how much it's stretched. And fingers crossed that this isn't one that goes into flowering early. I'd say 20% of my plants go to flower early, and this is an example of that. So it doesn't grow any branches for me to do anything with. I mean, it has these little ones that you could call branches, but other than that, that's as tall as it's gonna get, and you can't do much to it. So kind of sad. This one, the reason I've kept it is because I think the roots are gonna look really cool. So even though the Cannabonsai itself is gonna be anticlimactic, I think the roots are gonna look really cool. What I do with the small ones is I keep them around the house as decoration, and I don't keep them in the tent. They don't get a lot of light. They usually die early, but they look kind of cool. Just these little mini plants all around the house. Or I'll give them away because sometimes people don't need. My friends don't need like a really intricate bonsai like these ones, but they won't mind having a little one. They stop growing because they're auto flowers. So an autoflower doesn't depend on a light cycle to switch from growth to budding to like when the buds start thickening. It does it on its own, and stress can cause the plant to flower early. So normally when you're growing a larger plant, you try really hard to not stress your auto, but I'm doing the exact opposite. So that's why I make sure to say at the beginning that these techniques are specific to this style of Cannabonsai that I'm doing. Most people growing Cannabonsai are using photoperiod plants and seeds, and it's a very different approach. So I try to be very clear about that. So these ones, they were put in a little later than this one, and the roots had just touched down to the bottom on this one. So I'm gonna wait a couple days before putting these on a rock just to make sure that I've gotten as much root extension as I might even wait a little longer because this one didn't have too many roots for me to work with. So I might, maybe we'll see them next stream. We'll see. At least one of them you'll see next stream. If not, you'll see them when it's already on the rock. And it's going to be the exact same process. So I do exactly what you saw just now. I do with all my Cannabonsais. If I'm ever going to do anything unique, I'll make sure to do it on stream for you guys. Like, This one, same process. Okay, so I think that's it for today. I want to thank everyone for joining me on the live stream. Check out, so if you want to see how I got to like this point on this plant or on any of the plants on the stream, like I said, I only work on my plants on stream. It's multitasking for me. Because before I was working on them like all times like of the day, every day, a little bit here, a little bit there. So I decided to start streaming, and they get watered every day. Obviously, I'm looking after them. If there's any bug issues, I deal with it on the spot. But all the bends, all the trimming, all the the transferring onto the rock, all that stuff is done on stream. And I appreciate you guys joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next week. And if you can't tune in for the live stream, they all get saved. Tell me what you think about the vertical video, or vertical video portrait mode. If you prefer horizontal landscape like my past streams, leave that in the comments. I like this one because I feel like I can get the plant closer, and there's not a lot of lost space. You can see the whole plant. Okay, someone prefers landscape. Okay, so yeah, I might go to landscape. I feel like a lot of people watch these on their laptops and on their TVs, so yeah, it goes full screen on TV. Horizontal for Dirty Dan too. Okay, so the next stream will be in landscape mode. Thanks for the feedback. I really, really appreciate that, because all this is done for you guys. So that's why I'm putting all this out there, so people can see what I'm doing and hopefully want to recreate it. Have a great morning, day, or night, wherever in the world you are, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.